So the Artisan console package this is built on comes with a few extras. So let's make a new command to group these under. So I'm going to do PHP penguin, make command, and I'm just going to call this artisan command. I'm just going to open that command up under app commands, artisan command. I'm just going to give this a command of extras, demo of extra functions. And then in our handle method, we can ask the user for input. So let's say name, and we can equal this to this ask, and then in ask we can give our question, what is your name? And then once we have the user's name, we can print this back out to the user. So you can say this info, and we can just say hello name. Now let's run this. So it's PHP penguin extras, what is your name? And type it in, and it returns hello Mark. So another method here is, instead of ask, it can be secret. So what this does is it hides the input as you type. So you could say, what is your password? So obviously in a real application we wouldn't be returning this back to the user in plain text. But for the purpose of the demo, I'm just going to print this back out to the screen. Right, see, it says, what are your password? And I can type the password in, but this time the characters don't display as you type them. So just hit enter, and you see the password's still there, and you can use that within the application without showing it to the user. We can also ask the user for confirmation. So to do this, we just wrap in an if block, and we can say this confirm, and then inside of confirm we just put our question, are you sure? So this confirm just returns true or false depending on if they answered yes or no. So if they have answered yes, we can say this info, you have answered yes. And if it returns false, we can just say this info, you have answered no. And then obviously if they've answered yes, we just want to exit. So let's run this. So are you sure? We can type yes. Or we can even just type Y and say you have answered yes. Let's run it again. Are you sure? We can answer no or N, and you have answered no. So that's a nice way to control a flow of application and get user feedback. So we can implement a sort of autocomplete feature. So let's say you've got a list of names from the database, and what you can do is you can pass that list of names into the command line. So let's just say name. And we can do this, anticipate, and then this takes two parameters. So it takes the question first, what is your name? And then the second parameter is an array of options. So like I say, you could have got this list of names from the database and then displayed it in here, but I'm just going to hard write them in. So we could do Mark, Dave. Now let's give this a try. So you see it says, what's your name? And I start typing. If I press M, obviously it brings up Mark. Now if I type D, it brings up Dave, and C for Chris. So if you were creating a user management system via the command line, that's a nice little helper method for the user, so they don't have to type the full name in, and it'll auto suggest a name for them. So we can also draw tables in the output. So to do this, we can just create a variable called headers, and then this will equal the headers of your table. So let's just do name and email, and then we want our data. So now in a real world application you'll probably be getting this from a database query, but I'm just going to put something in here. So I'm going to create up a multi-dimensional array of the data. So I've just built up an array of a name and an email address. So like I say, you'd probably be doing something like app user, get all users, select the name and the email address, and then cast that to an array. But just for the purposes of this demo, I'm not using a database. So now we have our data, we just call this table, and then we just pass it in our headers, and for the second parameter, our data. Now let's run this, and we can see it prints out a table of our name and email address.